Warning: this episode contains discussions of abuse and strong language. Hello, and welcome to PauseCast. It's August 2nd, 2016. And this time, it's a Tuesday. I'm Jessica Alouette, and I use she/her pronouns.
And I'm Mark Hanna. I use he/him. Thank you.
Episode 10 is upon us. Cool milestone.
Yeah, it is, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, I know for all my talk last week about 16 and the number of twos involved, 10 is pretty cool.
Yeah. There was a lot of twos and a lot of
Yeah, I think I added an extra one in there.
I don't know. Did we ever resolve that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's 3 twos.
There's 3 twos. Okay. Then I don't think. Okay, never mind. You know what? We're just going to go past our failures at math.
The twos are not important.
The twos are not important. The twos are a myth and an illusion.
Okay, I think that's taking it a bit far. Anyway.
0 is also infinity. Yeah, so this week we are having a big discussion about preventing online abuse in gaming. Unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of responses from people. And yeah, never mind. You know what? I'm going to cut that.
Yeah, it's cool.
But before we get started on our conversation, Mark, what have you been playing this week?
This week, I've been playing the same as I was playing last week, and still enjoying it. I've been playing Monster Hunter Generations, and I've been playing Starbound. Actually, more Starbound this week. And it's really fun. So I've had some more sessions with 4 of us playing Monster Hunter together, which is a lot of fun. It's really nice to have more than 2 people playing at the same time. Especially when you get to do a whole bunch together. Like I had a good long few hours session on Sunday. Real fun. And then Starbound as well. I've gotten to the point now where I can finally make all the cosmetic stuff that I've been scanning as I find it, like all the cool furniture and stuff that I find, so I can decorate up my spaceship.
Awesome.
What about you?
This week I have been playing The Last of Us. I have returned to that.
Oh yeah? You did finish it the first time round, right?
Yeah, I finished it the first time.
Okay.
I haven't
So
played...
I haven't. I've played... Well, actually, I don't know how much I've played because I haven't finished it. I played a decent chunk, but I don't think I'm halfway.
I played it through and through on the PS3. And now that I've got the PS4 remastered version, I have been playing through that.
Cool. How's that?
It's been really good. Last of Us is one of my favorite post-apocalyptic dramas. So it's been good to go back to that because I've been kind of itching for it a little bit.
Cool.
And I'm also going to be able to play the expansion for that as well, the Left Behind.
Have you played that before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, neither have I, but I've heard the writing's really good.
Yeah, well, the writing throughout Last of Us was pretty good.
Yeah.
On the whole, it's still holding up for me as well.
That's good.
The overarching plot was criticized a lot when it first released. And I admit it's a little bit generic, but the moment to moment is really what makes these games.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
That's Naughty Dog.
Stuff too.
Yeah, Naughty Dog's always been really good about their moment to moment, huh? Their plot, like the overarching plots, totally are generic in a Naughty Dog game, but the moment to moment is what makes it count. Yeah, so I've been playing that. I've been playing some more Call of Duty. Okay. Some more Overwatch. A little bit more Battleborn. Man, I love that game. That game was slept on. It really was. And I'm just loving the hell out of it. I love the aesthetic. I love how it handles. And just, it's a fun game. And that's got me covered this week, I think.
Cool. So you've been playing quite a few games with an online multiplayer component.
Yeah, I have been recently.
Have you been playing the online multiplayer parts of them? Because I know you've told me before that Call of Duty you mainly play for the single player content.
And that's true. Where Black Ops 3, I've actually been playing it a lot more for the multiplayer.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's been an unusual twist.
Hopefully a fun one.
It actually has been, yeah. Things haven't generally been too bad in the chat or anything.
That's good.
Yeah. I have it turned off now anyway, just because I was getting annoyed at it.
Sure.
So I was just like, this doesn't need to be on any longer, and I can just play the game, and I can ignore everybody else and just play it.
Sounds like me.
Well, it's a really happy way to play games, because I don't have to think about anybody else, or if anyone's trying to, be inflammatory and try to be all, ooh, macho, tough guy.
Yeah, first thing I do, anytime, and this happens with games like Path of Exile, I'll go into a game sometimes which has some multiplayer aspect to it, and it'll chuck me in a world chat or whatever. Mm-hmm. First thing I do is recoil in revulsion, and the second thing I do is look to how to turn it off.
Yeah, it's. I'm laughing mostly at the what's it? I'm trying to think of the word. I'm laughing mostly at the visual of you just recoiling in horror at seeing this chat.
To be fair, a fair chunk of that is just me being an introvert and not wanting to be acknowledged by strangers.
I think that's fair. I don't quite have the same reaction, personally. I tend to make it my quest immediately when I play a game to turn off the voice chat.
Right.
When I first enter a game, just off. I don't want that in my video games ever.
I agree with that, because I tend to. I really like it when I'm playing a game and I forget it's a game. Mm-hmm. And if there's any aspect of voice chat, I find it pulls me right back with their crackly mic and saying stuff that doesn't really fit with. It never fits with the plot, with the setting of a game, right? Mm. People don't talk like people in video games in real life. Except if it's Borderlands, maybe a little bit. Borderlands is good for that, actually. But yeah, so I tend to do the same. If there's voice chat, I'll generally turn it off, and only turn it on if, and this is unusual, if I'm playing with people who are somewhere else and I need voice chat to talk to them.
Yeah, see,
but often in that case, it'll be external to the game anyway.
Oh yeah, that's what I have Skype and Discord for. I don't need that. And the PS4 has a party system that's built in. So I can just chat with people that I want to chat with.
Yeah.
And I don't have to think about anybody else in the video game. I just have to think about these are my friends. I get to hang out with them and we get to play a video game together.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for those of us who don't turn that off all the time, I think anybody on the internet anyone in games rather knows that there can be a hell of a lot of abuse going on in those chats, from people hurling around slurs and all sorts of just assorted nastiness to just people being really, really just angry.
Yeah, it can be hard to dip your toe in that stuff without encountering it even.
What was that? Sorry?
It can be hard to even dip your toe in that stuff without encountering it.
Yeah. I remember when I used to play Counter-Strike.
Right.
Not any of the older ones, but Global Offensive, the more recent one that a lot of people are playing right now.
Okay.
I used to be pretty into it, and something I noticed while I was playing Counter-Strike was that, holy shit, there was a lot of misogyny in that community.
Oh God.
That was a very, very prominent problem, I would say. So that resulted in me sticking up for some of the women who were being targeted, and it was a wholly unpleasant and anxiety-inducing experience.
I bet, yeah.
So just profoundly not good. But this week, we want to talk about ways that we think that we can prevent abuse without having to turn off your voice chat and your text chat, because the world in which we live now, where I am kind of in relative fear of having these functions available to me, because I don't know. If I've got my name, if I've got my name on my account, it's like, are people going to be really, really transphobic? Are they going to be misogynist? Are we going to have to deal with any of this garbage?
Yeah. I've got it so super easy. I mean, I suppose people who listen to this might not be able to see me. I'm a white guy. I am like in all of the privileged groups essentially. So
yeah,
I'm
you are a cisgender white dude.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't tick any of the boxes really for being specifically targeted with abuse. I get off as easy as it possibly is to get off, and I think it's worth acknowledging that to start with.
Yeah, and I'm also white, so racial abuse not targeted at me. I do see some misogynist and kind of transphobic abuse that would get targeted at me. This isn't a regular occurrence, fortunately. So it's not something I have to deal with a hell of a lot, but there's always this kind of undercurrent of possibility, and it's intimidating.
Yeah. For better or for worse, the online gaming community in general has a bad reputation for this. I mean, I think it's a bad reputation it's earned, but yeah, it's there, and that I think that lends to that of you go into it, you don't know if you're going to get some of that shit.
So to start, I want to use a case from last year, just super quick. Star Wars Battlefront. Do you remember this game?
Yeah, so I didn't play it. Just because that sort of shooter isn't the game I tend to pick up.
Full disclosure, neither have I.
Okay, but it's basically a Star Wars skin of the Battlefront games, right?
Battlefield, but
sorry,
yeah.
That's what I meant
close
to say.
enough. First-person shooter, a little bit more class-oriented than the Battlefield games are.
Okay.
Battlefield's really loose with its classes.
Oh, damn dog. Oh, you can keep talking over the dog.
That's fine. Battlefield's really loose with its classes, where the Battlefront games, the old ones, were all very rigidly defined classes, and they all had these specific abilities and these equipment sets. The new Battlefront was a kind of a mix of the two. But at its launch on PC, it had a pretty glaring problem that allowed for a lot of abuse. And that was the utter lack of a chat filter at all. There was nothing.
So it was just... so for people like me who don't play a whole lot of games like this, what's a chat filter and how they're normally implemented?
Typically, your chat filters will filter out strong language of any kind. So, your fucks and your shits. And it will
and
also...
worse things.
Yeah, right. Worse things. Mostly, like, slurs.
Yeah.
Namely racial slurs, I would say.
Yeah.
Is kind of the purpose of this. But one of the things I heard a lot about Battlefront on PC at launch was just that the chat was just utterly racially abusive.
So it was just full of the stuff that normally would get filtered out.
Yeah, just full of garbage that shouldn't be there. And has no place being there at all. And EA had done nothing, didn't think about the possibility for their chat function being used like this, which is, it's really unacceptable when we know that this shit happens.
So what do they do about it?
I don't know if anything has been done about it, to be frank.
So it might still be like that?
It might. I can't speak to that and claim it's 100% accurate, but it may very well be the same, or they may have just smartened up and added a chat filter. I would certainly hope that they added one. But that's kind of like a step one, is adding the most basic of protection or just something that's going to say, hey, we're not going to let you say this.
So I think it's worth mentioning as well that there's a step 0 here, which is do not do this under any circumstances. Don't be that person.
Yeah,
right?
We can say that all we want, but
I know. It's not going to fix the problem.
No,
but
it's really not good enough.
Don't be that person.
Yeah, don't be that person.
But some people will be, unfortunately.
Don't be a jerk.
Never.
Jerk.
Don't do it as a joke either. It's
no.
good.
Okay, yeah, being a jerk as a joke, not funny.
No.
It's funny. It can be funny if you are with friends. I will say that.
Yeah,
if you are with friends and everyone clearly understands this is a joke, but if someone doesn't get that, then you need to be ready to be like, yo, I'm sorry, I overstepped the line and I wanted to make a joke and I fucked up.
Yeah, I see this all the time on Twitter when someone will complain about some sort of harassment they get, and then the replies will be full of people trying to ironically do that. It's not funny. Don't do it.
No, holy shit. That's like Twitter ethics 101. Don't do that.
Yeah, it's not specific. It's not limited to Twitter, but that's where I tend to see it
certainly
a lot.
It's not limited to Twitter. But don't do that.
Yeah, right. I just wanted to get that said. Like, don't be that person.
Yeah, don't be that person.
Hopefully it's clear, but yeah, there we go.
It's very bad. Please don't be bad. You can do better than that. I believe in you.
Me too.
So, yeah, step 0, step 1, chat filters. Like, it seems like it would be common sense. Step 2, report functions that work.
Mm.
Like, I kind of struggle to think of good examples of this. I know that some systems, I think even CSGO did this. If someone got reported for cheating, they would have a community panel review the footage of the match of that player. And they would be asked to determine whether it was cheating or not.
Right.
And I mean, we could democratize this quite a bit, but that does also lead to the potential for abuse of the system. And even then, we don't have a solution that gives anyone like concrete. We don't have anything in games right now that gives anyone concrete closure when they report an issue.
Like finding out what happened as a result of the reporting?
Yeah, finding out because of your report, we reviewed your report and user X was banned as a result. Thank you for reporting it. We appreciate your contribution to the community, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's nothing like that that's being done in games right now. So even if we file a report, we have no idea what's going on afterwards. And in most cases, we don't have any idea if it even made it there. If anybody's even looking at it. And it's just it's a shitty situation to be in. And this also applies to social media and stuff as well. Like, you send a report off to Twitter and it's like, are they looking at it? I haven't got an email back.
No, and on Twitter, nothing ever seems to happen really either.
No, I mean, I see people posting in, like, if they've been subject to, like, extreme abuse and they file a report, then, like, I see emails that people have published and it's like, oh yeah, we suspended this user, blah, blah, blah. But we have nothing like that in games. So that would be, I think that would be a good step in continuing to ensure kind of safety in games. Just give us closure so that we know what's happened, if you're taking action. And if you're not, if action's not being taken, then, like, why? That would be another bit that would be helpful. Like, why, if you're not going to take action, why aren't you taking action? And I wonder, part of me wonders if it's a staffing problem as well.
Yeah, I think it certainly could be. If there's a lot of reporting, even if it's all justified, it can be tough. And it's annoying to think that the fact that there can be a lot of this crap being used as, like, the fact that there's a lot of it being used as a reason for not being able to deal with it very well can be pretty frustrating. I think if something gets to a point like that, then you need more than report response stuff. It needs more filtering on the front end. I haven't been involved in a huge amount of online stuff in this, but from what I've seen of Nintendo games in particular, I think, I'm pretty sure it's Nintendo games, that they seem to be pretty locked down in the stuff you can share with others. The ones I'm thinking of in particular are the Pokemon games I've played more recently, where they will do stuff like they'll limit the nicknames that you can give Pokemon that you're going to go onto their online trading and stuff like that.
Yeah, they've got like a set of banned words that they put into the game. Again, this is kind of like the chat filter functionality.
Yeah, and in games like that, it's a bit easier because it's the player interaction is much more limited. It's not text chat or voice chat or stuff. You've got, here are the dozen or so ways players can interact, and they can pretty heavily filter that stuff.
Yeah.
That helps. It does definitely get a bit harder when you have stuff like a chat lobby waiting for a game to start and stuff like that.
Well, with that, I think some games kind of have a solution.
What's that?
That I'm into, like Rocket League.
Yeah.
Rocket League has 16 preset chat things. So you can choose from a set of things to say. So you can say, "Oh, I'm going to defend. Oh, I've got the shot."
Yeah.
And various reactions, including like, you know those like swears that are covered up by symbols.
Yeah.
They just have those as one of the quick chat reactions, and I like that.
Monster Hunter has a similar thing actually.
Yeah.
And part of that is just so you don't stop and try to type something out on the tiny little DS keyboard while you're hunting something. But it's handy for that as well.
That dog is really...
Yeah, sorry. It's probably seen the same cat that was spooking Gizmo earlier.
I mean, like, probably.
Well, it barks every time someone comes up the neighbour's driveway as well, but this doesn't sound like that. It sounds like it's just going off.
Stink.
Yeah, it's more annoying for the recording than anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's really not that bad.
Okay.
All right. All right, where were we?
So I just mentioned that Monster Hunter is the same sort of thing as Rocket League, where it's got those predefined...
right, the quick chats.
Yeah.
Cool, got it. Yeah.
I remember you mentioned... Now, this wasn't Rocket League, was it? But there was a game that... And they were removing this, you told me, that had an option to avoid this player.
That was Overwatch.
Overwatch, right. Because, see, that, to me, and I think I said this at the time, seems like a really good way of enabling people to avoid abuse, because they don't have to rely on a reporting system being successful to avoid this person. They can just click, hey, I don't want to see this person or whatever. I don't know if any games have that sort of block feature that you see quite often in social media. Do you know if there are many games, or any games, if Overwatch has removed it, that do that?
I think that Overwatch was kind of the only one in its class.
Right.
That really did that. And I can't think of any other examples, really. But, yeah, the reason that was removed, you may remember, was because that system itself was being abused.
Yeah.
Where you had exceptionally skilled players finding themselves on a lot of people's avoid this player list because they were like, oh, you're too good at this game. I'm just going to avoid you, and now I'll never have to play against you again. Like, come on.
Yeah, I think I wondered out loud about this at the time. I wonder if it was because of the wording of it, if it was avoid this player rather than like I'm reporting someone and here's a block option. I wonder if that might be abused less and more effective at actually helping people avoid harassment.
Yeah, I do wonder if that if the language would have been a factor in that.
I'd certainly like to see another game try it.
Yeah, I mean...
Because it seems like a really good idea of giving players the tools to avoid this stuff when they run into it.
Yeah. And really that's what most of these solutions boil down to. It's a lot of giving players the tools to make sure that they can avoid people who are being pieces of shit.
Yeah. I mean, this is a way that lets people react to abuse to not get it again. It doesn't help quite so much with getting rid of abusive players. That's where you do need an effective reporting system and stuff.
For sure. Shit just sucks. It really does.
Honestly, I mean, with the caveat of what I described earlier of I'm one of the least likely people to be targeted with this, it's part of why I don't do online gaming is I don't like that. I don't want to see that stuff either.
Certainly.
Even if it's not targeted at me. It's just bad. Yeah. And I think part of it maybe goes hand in hand with the elitist culture that can come from a lot of competitive stuff.
Oh, I don't even know where to begin with that.
Yeah, I mean, that on its own doesn't explicitly have racism, sexism, and stuff associated with it, but those things tend to go hand in hand, is my experience with it. If you've seen someone who will abuse people for not being very good at a game or whatever, they're probably going to abuse people for other reasons as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, we've mentioned ableism before as well. That sort of abuse that comes out from people saying you're not good at the game, whatever, I think that definitely falls under that category. Even if it's not like this is at a disabled person, I still think it's that, for lack of a better word, genre of harassment.
I think that's an appropriate turn of phrase. Yeah.
Have you run across any games that handle this sort of stuff really well, or even just that had really good communities that you didn't see it?
Really good communities. Let's talk about Splatoon.
Oh yeah, so I haven't played this game, but I've heard about it. It's the competitive paintball type game, is it?
Sort of.
Okay. I'll let you describe it if you know more about it.
Splatoon was a shooter on the Wii U, released last year, where you had the idea, instead of like racking up kills on your enemies and stuff like that, or trying to hold an objective even, was to control more turf than the other team. And you did this by putting colored paint. So you had all kinds of colorful squid kids running around and a bunch of outfits, and it's a fantastic, lovely, lovely game.
Cool.
And that community was fantastic as well. When you walk around in the main lobby, it loads in a selection of kind of random characters and highly rated art and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and some of the art that would be drawn was just phenomenal.
Cool.
And it was always a pleasure to like boot up that game and be able to see that stuff. And the game doesn't have any chat function or anything like that, so it didn't lend itself to any sort of like easily accessible abuse.
Right. And I think there's quite possibly an aspect of games in which people can be abusive will probably tend to attract and keep around those people who will be abusive.
One solution I have heard for that problem is just to is as an effect of the report function to take the abusers and put them somewhere else, namely in rooms with other abusers, and you would just keep them in their own little quarantined zone of the video game and leave everyone else who's trying to have a good time have a good time.
That's an interesting way of dealing without kicking people off games, but I can see that being abused if someone gets reported for reported when essentially they shouldn't be, and then suddenly they're in rooms with a whole bunch of abusive people.
This
instead.
this
Is that
was
sort of what
intended
happened with that?
for like repeat offenders and people who were like
Okay.
verified. There was like a team.
You can
there's
be
a there's like
abuser.
there's like a team reviewing all of these cases.
Okay, right.
you
So
could
it wasn't an automated thing.
no, it was something where you had people manually reviewing, and they would get thrown into the danger zone, is what I'm going to call it now.
I mean, I guess one result of kicking them into a different zone rather than kicking off the game is they're not going to just create a new account and keep abusing people on that account because they're still in the game. So
Yep.
maybe that would be quite effective for them.
And
That's quite
the
interesting.
idea as well was that it was silent. You wouldn't
Right.
you wouldn't notice. You would just be moved off to this quarantine zone, and you wouldn't notice. And some games have done this with cheaters as well.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it
They've thrown all the cheaters into like their own quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's
now
quite
you
nice.
have just video games filled with cheaters not getting anywhere. And they're like, this sucks, I give up.
That's
Everyone
like
else is too
morally
good.
satisfying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So those are my those are fun ways that we can use to get rid of
Do you know any examples of games that have done it that way?
examples. Who do you take me for?
Oh, it was just in case you did.
I
you
can't.
don't, it's
No, I
okay.
can't think of any specific
Yeah,
examples.
that's all right.
I remember hearing stories of these things happening, and I remember just
Yeah,
having a chuckle to myself.
for sure. There's another type of online community which kind of needs different tools for handling this stuff, and that's games with like community-run servers. I'm thinking of games like Minecraft, where you'll have basically small isolated communities each on a particular server, and you might have problems with people being abusive in a number of ways. In Minecraft, that might come about by destroying things that other people are building or whatever as well. As well
that's
as chat stuff.
It's more difficult to control because it falls to the individual mod teams
Yeah,
of
I think
each and every server.
the important thing in this stuff like this is having good tools for people who are moderating these things, who are running these smaller communities.
Which the community has created. I will say
Well,
that.
I think Minecraft itself actually has a bunch of tools and stuff for that
It's
too.
got a small handful.
Okay.
The majority of the tools are kind of just the majority of the tools are kind of with the community community built stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the community built server software, for example, had like the ability to roll back certain areas. So if someone
Right.
did get their shit destroyed, they could roll back
Just that part without
Just that bit.
rolling back everyone else's changes. Yeah, that makes sense. Makes a lot
Exactly.
of sense for a game like that.
Yeah. I found those sort of like tools were always interesting, and Minecraft only kind of indirectly allowed for that to happen, just because there was already a thriving mod scene.
Do you know if that's changed at all now that Mojang is owned by Microsoft? I haven't been following Minecraft very closely lately.
I don't think it has changed.
Okay.
I think it's very much the case that everything is still kind of like there's still an active modding community.
That's good.
Still a lot of stuff going on. There's definitely some stuff going on with graphics mods and stuff that I've seen.
Yeah.
Some of my friends have been posting about some of the shader mods that they're using.
Cool. So is that for stuff like light and water service and stuff?
Yeah, relighting the game and adding super, super, super high-res textures and stuff like that.
Like, part of me is just asking, doesn't that defeat the purpose of Minecraft?
No, I've always agreed. I'm not saying that I agree with these practices.
I can see why people would like it as well. I'll keep playing with the super low res though. I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to keep playing with the vanilla texture pack because it's probably my favorite.
Pixel art stuff anyway, so that's no surprise that I'll keep on doing that.
No, it's not a surprise for me, really. I think Minecraft's aesthetic is really refined, and I like it.
It's nice.
It's charming.
Yeah. And it hasn't changed much in a long time, actually, which is one of the things. And you've got stuff like creepers that have been around for so long. That face has become iconic.
Yeah, I was going to say that creepers are very much an iconic thing now.
Yeah.
They're kind of everywhere. You can find like plushies and all manner of merchandise about these things.
She has this for a topical question. Mm-hmm. Are creepers a metaphor for people who are abusive in online gaming communities? They just show up and blow things up?
First of all, I just found the episode title, and it's definitely Are Creepers Metaphors? Second of all,
I'm being a little facetious.
You are being very facetious, and I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I can see kind of some logic there, but also not. So we're just going to say no and leave it at that.
Although a lot of this abuse could be described as creeping.
I guess if you wanted to really stretch it.
It's all right. I'll give it up.
It's some taffy. You got to really stretch.
Okay. Are there any other abuse prevention things that players can use or that can be built into games or anything like that you can think of? Or anything you've seen?
I'm really not sure.
Okay. I have seen some stuff like in the Dragon's Dogma games. Again, there's very limited interaction between players. And that game, I think the only interaction between players is sending an NPC to fight alongside somewhere else. And the way they've handled that is basically the only bit of text you can send is one is that NPC's name and another is a message. And from the message, you have to choose a pre-selected message. So it's sort of, and for the name, you give them a name, but you also choose an online friendly name.
You know what that like all of like choosing from a preset list of like text and stuff reminds me of?
What's that?
Dark Souls.
Yeah.
A kind of classic example of that, where you can write messages kind of wherever you want in the world.
Oh yes, I'd forgotten about that feature of Dark Souls.
But then you just have the soapstone.
Yeah. Remember
and
that.
You can select from a list of things. Now this, of course, does lead to some amusing results. I myself have definitely left. There was in Bloodborne, for example, which is Souls. I'm going to say it's Souls-like, and we're going to leave it at that. It operates on the same principles, same developer. There is a class of enemy in that video game which has mounted guns on wheelchairs.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I have left messages saying, like, be wary of wheelchair or no mercy for wheelchairs. In the general vicinity of those, no mercy for the elderly was another one. But there was some old witches who were causing some trouble. So that there's potential for a little bit of abuse going on there, but mostly it's tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
That game series is just real special.
I'm now really hoping that people leave haikus.
I think I don't know.
Is there enough?
If people can, yeah.
Damn.
I don't know if there's enough flexibility for it.
That's disappointing.
Because there's preset phrases and preset kind of answers.
Yeah.
And you
There's
can
a similar
expand
thing,
on them.
Actually, this is reminding me of another Monster Hunter thing where you've got this isn't really about preventing abuse now, but it's again selecting from a pre-selected bunch of words because you set up your title, which is shared with other online players. But then there's full text chat, so it's kind of that part of it isn't for preventing abuse. It's just tangentially relevant.
But that Dark Souls system is a good way to kind of prevent abuses of the system and abuses of this chat while still allowing people to have some fun and Maybe
Yeah.
be a little cheeky with it.
Finding a theme definitely seems to be that games with limited player-to-player interaction are the games that have the easiest job of handling that stuff.
Yeah,
Games
that
where you've
really
got the open
seems to
stuff
be it,
like
huh?
voice chat or free text chat and stuff, that's when you get problems. And yeah, with text chat you can implement filters. People will always try to find ways around filters just by like misspelling stuff and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
So that can be really hard. And voice chat, you can't. It's not feasible to actively filter voice chat, unfortunately.
No, it's there. I cannot think of a single way
No.
that you could even conceivably do that.
No.
So
that's, yeah, like you were saying earlier, that's where functional reporting systems are necessary. And being able to block players seems like that will be a really good feature. More games should do that.
yeah, I agree.
And being able to turn off the chat seems like a minimum, right? Like if
Yeah,
someone's being
turn off
abusive
the
in
chat
and you can't
that
filter
is
it, you should
the
be able to turn it off.
barest
But I don't know if there are
minimum.
any games that have chat you can't turn off like that.
Mm.
I think it's
I
pretty much
I think a lot of
universal to be able to
older
turn it off.
shooters, a lot of older shooters didn't let you turn that stuff off.
Okay.
You very much had to suffer through having text chat on at least.
Actually, this is bringing me back to playing Halo 1 multiplayer, where the first thing I would do in every match is manually go and mute everyone's microphone because I didn't want to have to listen to them. And there wasn't a better way to do it. Because you get people who do stuff like they'd have a radio on in the background or something. And it's like,
Oh yeah, and then their mic is just constantly on. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to propose 3 rules for online gaming lifted directly from my brother, and me.
What's that?
Rule number 1, come on. Rule number 2, be cool. Rule number 3, nice.
Yeah,
That's it.
I like that.
Those are the rules.
I like that.
Come on, be cool, nice.
That sounds good.
I think we can do that. Baseline. Again, I'm not going to claim responsibility for that joke. That is my brother, and me. Very good show. I like them a lot. Their advice should never be followed except for this. Just don't. I think we've had we've had a pretty good chat. I really wonder if there's any way that we can kind of prevent online abuse while still allowing a high degree of freedom.
Well,
And
actually,
that
reminds me of another
really doesn't
thing.
seem like it's the case.
Another thing you've just reminded me of then, one way to avoid abusers, right, is actually, play with friends, play with people who you know are safe. They can be online friends, that's fine. You can have gaming groups online. I think you're part of one, right, where part of the point is that everyone's on the same page. You're not going to run into jerks while you're all playing together, right?
I'm part of the feminist war cult.
That's the one, yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Where the idea is you're not going to, if you're all playing together, you're not going to have to run into misogynist rants all the time.
Yeah. You're going to be hanging out with your group of friends and just kind of, you're having a good time. And you know that, like, you can just hang out as friends.
Yeah. So that's another option for players, right? If you find cool people online, hang on to them.
Holy shit. If you find cool people online, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, don't let go.
Form groups, be friends, find more friends, and keep the jerks out.
Are players, like, I guess, like, the people you surround yourself with are kind of your first real line of defense.
Hmm.
In a lot of cases, at the very least. And sometimes there's not really anything that you can do to avoid shitty situations.
Yeah.
But having people, like, around you as your first line of defense, I think that's something that a lot of people would benefit from. It's not terribly hard to do, but I say this having social anxiety and having figured out that I can hang out with some groups of friends, but it did take me a while to find that.
Yeah.
But you can do it. I believe in you.
Me too. All right. So, with that, what are you looking forward to playing this week?
Can I actually talk about something that I remembered I've been playing this week?
Yeah, go for it.
Like, really quick first?
Yeah.
So, we had a discussion last week, you may remember. Oh, excuse me. We had a discussion last week about these old games that we used to play as kids.
Oh, yeah, like my theme park world, my dystopian empires.
Yeah, your dystopian theme park empire.
Yeah,
and
that's the one.
Roller Coaster Tycoon. And I have played that this week.
Nice.
Yeah, I had a copy laying around from the GOG sale a couple months back.
Yeah.
I hadn't booted it up or anything like that yet. So on a kind of a whim, I booted it up again after that discussion.
How was it? Is it what you remembered?
Oh my god, it's better than I remembered.
Oh, that's brilliant.
There's a lot of really fascinating game design in there.
Yeah?
Yeah, it feels really good to play now, which is a sign of a really good game.
Yeah, because how old is that game now?
The year 2000. It's more than 15 years old.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, 15 years later, Roller Coaster Tycoon still holds up.
Wow.
That original one does, at least. I don't know about the second or third. I haven't ever touched those. But that first game holds up. And it is a blast to play. I've been getting through objectives that used to take me like forever as a kid. I'm getting through them really easy now. And I'm like I figured out how to manage my parks better.
Who knew? As an adult, you're better at managing things than you were 15 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't playing this in the year 2000. I was playing it probably about 10 years ago.
Even so.
Yeah. I've figured out more. I figured out how to like do things better as an adult. And yeah, that game's design still holds up, and it still feels like intimately familiar. I feel like I know
It's a nice
most
feeling,
nooks
yeah.
and crannies of that game.
I feel like if I went back to Theme Park World, I might have the same, except it's impossible to improve on my childhood technique.
Yeah, which was remind us again.
So you set up the rides so that people can, so that you go in one end and you come out the other end, and once you come out, you can't reach the park exit anymore. So then, well, those first rides are free. Everything else costs money. You've got like the free chips with salt up to max right next to really expensive drinks, and you just wait a while until everyone's wallets are empty, and you destroy a park, and there's this torrent of terrified children running, screaming from the park, and then you just put the ride back and let it fill up again. That's how theme parks work.
Just remember that, kids. That is 100% definitely how theme parks work.
It's official.
Confirmed.
Yeah, like I said, you can't. If I went back to it now, there's no way I'd be able to do better.
Man, video games are weird. Yeah, so
what about this week?
Yeah, this week. What are you excited about playing this week?
Oh, I'm being boring and continuing to play the same games. They're fun, but they're the same ones I've been playing the last 2 weeks. More Starbound, more Generations, basically.
You're going to try anything new at all this week?
I don't know. I might, but if I do, it's going to be unexpected. Those are the games that I expect to play. And I mean, this is kind of the way I game. I'll pick a game, or in this case, 2 games, and I'll stick with them for a good while, typically.
Right.
I've got a queue, but I'm not reaching it yet.
And as for me this week, I'm looking at probably some more Destiny.
Oh, yeah?
I've been playing a little bit of that this week.
Cool.
Actually, after we're done recording, I'm probably gonna go play it for a couple hours.
Nice.
More Last of Us. I want to finish off my story run. Persona 4.
Oh, yes, because you bought a PS Vita for that, didn't you?
Correct.
They do exist.
They exist in the wild.
Well,
Well,
is it really wild when you own one?
I guess not.
Maybe you're the only one.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Certainly the only one I've seen in real life.
Yeah. I remember watching House of Cards a while back. And man, the most unrealistic bit of that show is where Kevin Spacey just like on site identifies a PS Vita because nobody's ever seen one in real life.
It's doubly unrealistic. Like, it was there and he's recognized it.
Yeah, it was there and he was like, "Is that a PS Vita?" And like,
wonder how much they paid for that product placement.
Well, Sony seems to have a handful of them in that show. Like Kevin Spacey constantly playing his PS3 because he loves video games.
Yeah. Well, he's in one.
Yeah, and then he starred in a video game shortly after that first couple seasons.
Yeah.
Thanks, Call of Duty. You're really killing it, huh? I think that's gonna kind of do it for me this week.
Cool.
I'm probably like, there's a tiny likelihood that I will pick up either Oxenfree or Valkyria Chronicles.
Actually, yeah, if I'm gonna pick up anything, it will be Oxenfree because I know it's half off this week, and it is one that I've been looking at with interest. I'm just wary. I've still got a queue of games to get through as well. Story games.
It's fairly short from what I hear, so.
That's true. And it is fairly inexpensive. I think it's something like $12 New Zealand at the moment or something.
Yeah. And you know what else has kind of caught my eye recently as well?
What's that?
You heard of this We Happy Few game?
Oh, I feel like I want to say yes, but I can't tell you anything about it but the name.
It still has my eye at the moment. It's in early access right now.
Okay.
It's the result of a Kickstarter. The aesthetic and stuff is really cool, but there's no story content or anything in there right now.
Is there going to be?
There's going to be.
Okay.
But apparently that's in needs of some serious rebalancing and stuff like that.
Right.
It's another
that
game
comes with early access, I suppose.
Oh yeah, but it's something that I've got my eye on right now. So, yeah.
Okay. Just looked it up. A game of paranoia and survival in a drugged-out dystopian English city in 1964.
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea is that all the residents of this town take this drug called joy, and it distorts the world and makes them feel happy, and that's the idea.
And
of
everyone's
this.
wearing a porcelain mask.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. It feels very BioShock.
Does a bit.
So that's kind of the basis of this. I was really hoping it was going to be a linear narrative game when I first saw it. I think it would have worked really well as that, but I'm curious to see where this is going. So I've got my eye on it.
Apparently it's roguelike. If you die, there's no reloading your save. Each time you die, you'll restart in a brand new city. Huh.
You can actually turn that off.
Oh, okay.
I've seen that it is a toggle, but yeah, that's an option for it. So yeah, got my eye on it. We're gonna see how that turns out.
Cool.
No Man's Sky.
Oh yes, because that's what, like a week from now coming out or something.
A week and a day.
Right, it's pretty soon.
So it's very close, and I'm excited about it. And I found out that there's no review copies that are going out in advance for that.
So you won't see any reviews until after it's been released?
Nope. I'm kind of nervous about that. But
well, you haven't pre-ordered it or anything though, right?
No, not yet. It's been tempting me though. I might pick it up. Realistically, this is the sort of game that I could totally see myself playing anyway,
Hmm.
just for the aesthetic.
Okay.
Just, it's a beautiful, beautiful game.
It's coming out at full AAA price, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, it's been in development for several years.
It has.
That first debut that everyone like saw of this game was E3 2013,
Okay.
and
so
this
just
game
over
had
3
been in
years.
development for a couple of years before that.
Mhm.
So we're looking at a half of a decade spent on this game. So
So hopefully it's good.
yeah, and also like full retail price. That's totally a worthwhile ask. All right. With that, I think that's going to do it for us this week.
Cool.
Yeah. Some quick housekeeping for you as well. If you are enjoying the show, maybe consider giving us a rating or a review on iTunes. It helps us out a lot. You can find our page on iTunes at bit.ly/PauseCast-iTunes. We also have a Twitter. You can send us your tweets and your thoughts at PauseCast Show. You can join our Facebook group as well. Mark, where can people find that?
There's a bit of a theme going. It's facebook.com/groups/PauseCast Show.
Yep, we have a group instead of a fan page so that you guys can post stuff as well. Once you try to join the group, a request will get sent off to me and Mark, and one of us will approve you into the group. And it's just done to keep spammers out. So yeah. Do we have anything else? Oh yes, a shout out to Anamonoguchi for our theme song. It is John Hughes off of the album Endless Fantasy. If you enjoy some video game soundtrack type stuff, then you may very well enjoy that song a lot. Mark, where can people find you on the internet?
I'm at Honest Universe on Twitter. I blog as well at honestuniverse.com.
All right, and you can find me at Cockatiel Cutie on Twitter, and you can also find me at bird.school if you would like to follow my Tumblr.
Cool.
All right, that's going to do it. Thank you very much for listening, and
Yeah,
we will
thanks
see
for joining
you.
us.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Bye.